I warmly welcome you all to the Northern Command Inter APS Debate Competition 2025. Justice cannot be for one side alone, but must be for both. I, Dr. Ela Upadhyay, feel privileged to be your anchor for this intellectually stimulating occasion. I'm also joined by my co-anchor, Mr. Fatir Irfan,
Good morning, everyone.
who will be assisting in today's proceedings. A debate, as we know, is not mere verbal jousting. It is an arena of reason, a contest of conviction, where intellect, persuasion converge to challenge assumptions and inspire new perspectives. Today, we gather to deliberate on a subject that transcends stereotypes and invites serious reflection. Not only females, but males also need to be protected in India. May this exchange of ideas serve as a catalyst for justice, equity, and harmony. It is my honor to introduce the luminaries who grace this gathering. Brigadier Nawab Ali Khan, Sena Middle, Deputy GOC, Headquarter 4, Infantry Division, and Chairman, Army Public School, Old Camp Prayagraj. Mrs. Neeja Ashok, Principal, Army Public School, Old Camp Prayagraj. Our distinguished jury, Dr. Pankaj Yadav, Assistant Professor, Department of English, Govind Ballabh Pant PG College, Pratapganj, Jaunpur. Dr. Umesh Chandra, Assistant Professor, Department of English and Modern European Languages, University of Allahabad. And Dr. Mrityunjay Rao Parmar, Assistant Professor, Department of English and Modern European Languages, University of Allahabad. Alongside our esteemed panel of judges, we also have with us the time jury, Ms. Sana Kadir, entrusted with the crucial responsibility of keeping the proceedings fair and disciplined. To commence on an auspicious note, we now proceed with the lighting of the lamp, invoking the eternal flame of knowledge and wisdom to guide today's deliberations. Chaturyug Nritya, or the four-yug dance, symbolizes Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, blending myth, rhythm, and devotion into timeless artistic expressions. Let us now immerse ourselves in rhythm and expression as a school troupe presents the welcome dance, a graceful invocation, setting the perfect tone for today's deliberations.
सतयुग की शुरुआत, एक युग जहां सच और पवित्रता का दीपक सदा जलता था। इस युग में भक्ति और शुद्धता का ऐसा प्रकाश था जो हर अंधकार को मिटा देता था।
जगज्जालपालं खचत्कण्ठमालं शरच्चन्द्रबालं महादैत्यकालं नभोनीलकायं दुरावारमायं सुपद्मासहायं भजेऽहं भजे।
त्रेता युग, ये वह काल था जहां श्री राम और सीता के प्रेम, त्याग और धर्म का अनुसरण होता था। यह युग था मर्यादा और आदर्श का, जहां हर बलिदान में समर्पण और साहस का प्रत्यक्ष दर्शन होता था।
श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भय दारुणम् श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन हरण भव भय दारुणम् नव कंज लोचन कंज मुख कर कंज पद कंजारुणम् श्री रामचंद्र कृपालु भज मन।
द्वापर युग एक ऐसा युग जहां प्रेम और युद्ध का साम्राज्य था। इस युग में श्री कृष्ण की नीति और उनकी चतुराई ने मनुष्यों को धर्म के मार्ग पर चलने की प्रेरणा दी। कहते हैं श्री कृष्ण का रूप ऐसा था कि देखने वाला उन्हें देखता ही रह जाए। उनकी बांसुरी की मधुर तान सुनकर गोकुल की हर गोपी उनके प्रेम में अपना अस्तित्व खो देती थी। अंततः आता है कलयुग, एक ऐसा युग जहां मोह, माया, लोभ और काम भावनाओं ने सत्य को ढक लिया है। इस युग में इंसान बाहरी सुखों की खोज में अपनी शांति खो बैठा है।
जिया चले जहाँ चले
तक तड़क भड़क दिल धड़क धड़क गया अटक ना माना।
जिया चले जहाँ चले
वो अंग सा रूप रंग लग सकल समाधि प्रेम भंग अंग अंग फिर मन में डंग और अंग न संग संग और दिल तंदी तंदी क्यों दिल में सुलझ तंदी क्यों गड़ी बन चंदरी रावे अंग न सकती यार अंग निरावे दिल तंदी तंदी क्यों दिल में सुलझ तंदी क्यों गड़ी बन चंदरी रावे अंग न सकती यार अंग निरावे
बूढ़ी बरस बरस काली घटा बरसे हम यार भीग जाएं
What a mesmerizing performance it was. It is my honor to invite Brigadier Nawab Ali Khan, Sena Medal, Deputy GOC, Headquarter for Infantry Division, and Chairman, Army Public School, Old Camp Prayagraj, to kindly address the gathering.
Sir, you are on mute. Still on mute, sir.
Okay, I think I have unmuted it. So I'm audible now, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay, first and foremost, let me welcome all the participating schools and their chosen teams to this English debate competition of APS Northern Command. And as I was going through the topic, I must say that it's a very interesting topic, and maybe it may be actually selected looking at the recently celebrated festival of Dasera, wherein the power lies with the goddess. So maybe actually this is a time, high time that the male needs to be protected in our country. So maybe this topic has been inspired, but a very interesting topic. And I would love to see how the young students actually tackle this topic. So it's a very interesting topic first and foremost. And I also welcome all the jury members who are the eminent personalities from the Prayagraj selected ones. And I'm sure they also are going to witness a very high level of debate competition on this interesting topic. And first and foremost, I also want to ensure all the participating team that they would have gone through the rules and regulations of this online and virtual mode of conduct of this debate. However, this is the first time I would be witnessing in this manner, but I'm sure we are from the older generations and the new generations are highly capable of impressing rather people online because of their online presence, and I will say that new generation is known as high-tech gen. So I'm sure you all are well versed with it, and we'll see a very high level of debate on this topic. And be rest assured about the conduct part of it. It will be conducting a very fair and transparent manner. And as such, in case of any issues, we are here to resolve that within time. And I shall be mostly listening to these online debate competition. So be rest assured on that part. And I'll not take further time on this because most of the teams are prepared and are raring to go. So I'll cut myself short here by only wishing all the teams very best. And I'm sure that since you guys are a chosen one, you're going to put across your point in the most professional manner, keeping the ethos of the debate in mind. Thank you very much, ma'am. Please go ahead with the event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for inspiring, motivating words. Your guidance truly sets the tone for today's contest of convictions. To lend an erudite charm to our competition, the teams are named after India's literary luminaries, towering figures whose words continue to inspire thought and imagination. We have the team names as Jeev Patel, Jhumpa Lahiri, Jayant Mahapatra, Kamla Das, Kushwant Singh, Kiran Desai, Nisam Ezekiel, R.K. Narayan, Rabindranath Tagore, Ruskin Bond, Sarojini Naidu, A.K. Ramanujan, and Vikram Seth. Now, it's time to determine the allotment of sequence of the team names for the speaking order. Team IT, let's spin the wheel. Our first team for today's debate will be R.K. Narayan, and the detective will be team Kushwant Singh. Our second team will be Team Jhumpa Lahiri, and the detective will be from. May we respin the wheel again?
Yes.
So the second team will be Team Jeev Patel, and the detective will be from Team Vikram Seth. Let's move ahead. The third team will be Team Rabindranath Tagore, and the detective will be from Team Ruskin Bond. Let's spin the wheel. The Default team for today's debate will be A.K. Ramanujan, and the interjector will be from team Jhumpa Lahiri. The next team, team 5, will be Nissan Ezekiel, and the interjector will, it's both same. Maybe respin the wheel. Okay, the fifth team will be Ruskin Bond, and the interjector will be from team Jeev Patel. Let's move ahead. Today's sixth team will be Kamala Das, and the interjector will be from team Kiran Desai. Our seventh speakers will be from team Nessim Ezekiel, and the interjector will be from team Kamala Das. Spinning to eighth will be Sarojini Naidu, and the interjector will be from team Jayant Mahapatra. Team 9 will be Vikram Seth, and the interjector will be from team RK Narayan. Let's move ahead for the 10th team. Team number 10, you will be Jhumpa Lahiri, and the interjector will be from Rabindranath Tagore. Today's 12th team will be Team Kiran Desai, and the interjector will be team from Nizam Ezekiel. The second last team, Team 12, will be Jayant Mahapatra, and the interjector will be from Team A.K. Ramanujan. We'll be spinning the wheel for the last time. Team 13 will be Kushwant Singh, and the interjector will be from Team Sarojini Naidu. Before we commence the contest, I now request Mrs. Nija Ashok, Principal, Army Public School, Orkan Prayagraj, to kindly share her first words of guidance.
Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I want the students to show me the thumbs. You need not to unmute yourself. Just show me by the thumb that you all know your sequence now. Just show me the thumb. And you know who is the interjector with you. Okay, so be ready accordingly. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the Inter-APS debate competition. We are truly honored to have among us the bright young minds and the enthusiastic participants of all 13 APSCs. Debates are not just the competition of words, but actually this is a platform where the ideas meet, perspectives are shared, and minds are sharpened. They teach us the value of listening, respecting differences, and presenting our thoughts with clarity and confidence. I take this opportunity to extend my best wishes to all the participants. May this competition bring out the best of you, not just in winning, but in learning and growing through this exchange of ideas. Remember, each one of you is already a winner because you have a courage to stand here and speak up your mind. So for me, you all are the winner because you are here. I also thank the teachers and the mentors who have guided the students to reach up to this stage. I extend my gratitude to our respected chairman, sir, and the distinguished judges for gracing the occasion. With this, I wish all the schools all the very best. May today's event be a celebration of knowledge, confidence, and healthy competition. Thank you, each one of you, and all the best once again. I am sure you all are going to do the best. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your thoughtful and encouraging words, which will surely inspire our participants as they prepare to present their arguments. Before we start today's deliberation, I reiterate the sequence of the team in the speaking order. Kindly note down the sequence. The first team will be Team R.K. Narayan, and the interjector will be from Team Khushwant Singh. The second team will be Team Jeev Patel, and the interjector will be from Team Vikram Seth. The third team will be Rabindranath Tagore, and the interjector will be from Ruskin Bond. Fourth, A.K. Ramanujan, and the interjector will be from Jhumpa Lahiri. The fifth team will be Ruskin Bond, and the interjector will be from Jeev Patel. Sixth team, Kamla Das, and the interjector from Team Kiran Desai. Team 7, Nisam Ezekiel, and the interjector will be from Team Kamla Das. Team Sarojini Naidu, and the interjector will be from Jayant Mahapatra. Team Vikram Seth, and the interjector will be from Team R.K. Narayan. Team Jhumpa Lahiri, team number 10, and the interjector will be from Team Rabindranath Tagore. Team Kiran Desai, your interjector will be from Team Nisam Ezekiel. Team Jayant Mahapatra, your interjector will be from Team A.K. Ramanujan. The 13th team, Khushwant Singh, your interjector will be from Team Sarojini Naidu. Let us now commence this intellectual odyssey. I call upon our first speaker for the motion from the team R.K. Narayan.
Before we start, I'll request all the principals and the vice principals, those who are here for the judgment, I'll request you not to judge for your own school, rest for all the schools you have to make the judgments. Thank you. I hope I'm very much clear to all the principals and the vice principals. Thank you, Ila ma'am. You can start now.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I call upon the first speaker for today's debate from team R.K. Narayan for the motion. Team R.K. Narayan.
Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, your time starts now.
I have kept 150 rupees with your mother. Please buy a pair of pants for yourself. These were the last words of a father.
Team R.K. Narayan, your lateral view is not proper. Please check it. We can't see your face from the lateral view. Yes, now you can start.
Ma'am, can I start again? I have kept 150 rupees with your mother. Please buy a pair of pants for yourself. These were the last words of a father to his son. Simple yet heavy with despair. A farmer from Maharashtra, crushed under debt, ended his life in his own field. He did not blame anyone. He carried the weight of failure alone, believing his worth was only measured by what he could provide to his family. Imagine the silent agony behind those words and society's verdict. That's what men do. They must endure. But endure until when? Until they break. How many more fathers, brothers, and sons must silently collapse under this weight before we realize that suffering has no gender? Good morning, honorable judges, respected teachers, and my dear audience. Today I stand before you to argue that not only women, but men too need protection. We say women need protection. True, but what about men? When she cries for help, we rush. When he does, we laugh. When she says I'm a victim, we believe. When he does, we doubt. Should justice wear a gender tag? This doubt kills. In 2022, National Crime Record Bureau reported 1,70,924 suicides. Of these, 1,22,724 were men. That is 72% of all suicides. If this is not crisis, then what is it? Numbers don't show the invisible chains men carry. From his first step, he's told, don't cry, be strong. When he goes to school, he hears, protect your sister, protect your mother, protect everyone. Chivalry, courage, bravado, not choices but commands, seared in his skin, stamped on his soul. But who protects the protector? Who tells him it's okay to cry? When I look back at my own life as a young woman, I realize I do not carry these shackles. No one tells me I must suffer in silence. I'm allowed to be weak. I'm allowed to fall. I'm allowed to ask for help. But the men around me, they are denied even this simple compassion. And when a broken man finally seeks for justice, the law turns away. Section 85 of Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, meant to protect women against cruelty, often becomes a weapon. In 2021, in Delhi, near about 9,950 cases were registered under this dreaded section. Convictions, barely 0.2%, which means majority of them were registered under false accusations. Families shattered, innocent men condemned. Tell me, should protection serve truth or blindly favor one gender? Silence cannot be the answer, my friends. Protection cannot be a privilege for women alone. It must be a right for all. We need gender-neutral laws, stigma-free mental health care, and the courage to admit that pain knows no gender. So I close with these lines, not as statistics, not as arguments, but as a reminder of human dignity. He suffers in silence, branded tough, never proven. He carries the weight of battle that no one sees. He breaks not from weakness, but from the endless endurance. And when justice forgets its sons, it ceases to be justice at all. With this, I rest my case here. Thank you.
Very well spoken, speaker. Now I call our first interjector of the day from Team Khushwant Singh. Interjector, are you there? Team Khushwant Singh. Team Khushwant Singh, am I audible to you?
Leela ma'am, we can start with the next speaker and then we'll see till the time they come.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, we'll calling the speaker against the motion from Team RK Narayan. Are you ready?
Good morning, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Your time starts now.
In courts where silence often screams, broken lives outlive their dreams. Justice is not about protecting the strong, but about lifting the weary who have suffered too long. Good morning, respected judges, teachers, and my fellow participants. Today, I stand here firmly against the motion that not only females, but males also need protection in India. Now, before we rush into demanding identical legal protections, let's ask ourselves first. Who is the one who truly needs the shield of the law more? The men in our society already hold dominance in politics, economy, law enforcement, and even within households. If justice is meant to protect the vulnerable, then tell me honestly, is it really men who end up defenseless? Ladies and gentlemen, let us not mistake exceptions for norms. Yes, a few men do face false allegations. However, the NCRB clearly reported that in 2022, 1.2 lakh cases were registered against women. Yet only 27% of them were proven to be evidentially bad. These cases were dropped not because the women lied, but because the evidence itself was hard to prove. while the opponents argue, but men are victims too. True, and no one denies that. However, equating their reality to the systematic violence that women face and demanding identical legal protection often turns into a shade for abusers. Our history bears testimony. Remember Draupadi in the court of Kauravas, surrounded by mighty and powerful men, humiliated in front of them. No one stood up for her. The silence of the lawmakers back then mirrors the silence of the institutions now. While we still cite the examples of the Agni Parikshas that women have given, how can we say that it is men who need the protection? As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. The national conviction rate for crimes committed against women is alarmingly low at 25%. Now compare these statistics with the so-called false cases against men that everyone loves to highlight. They form less than 10% of the registered cases. Imagine a woman finally gathers enough courage to file a harassment complaint, only to be drowned in counter charges that I too need equal protections as a man. The misuse of law is not unique to women protection acts. It exists in property, tax, and corruption cases too. Yet we regulate those laws instead of abolishing them. On the suicides, while the tragedy is undeniable, the NCRB clearly identifies financial stress, unemployment, and mental health as the main reasons. Directly blaming women-centric legal protections is misleading because this is a mental health crisis and not a legal one. Yes, men do suffer and they deserve counseling services and social support systems. However, the scale between what women face daily versus what men face barely is simply not comparable. The Kolkata rape case 2024. We all saw the protests, we all saw the marches, and how the convictions came only after public outrage. Until when are we going to equate the reality of women in this country to candle marches? Until when are we going to blindfold ourselves to the conviction that equality exists? Justice is not about protecting or comforting the comfortable. It is about protecting the vulnerable. So I conclude with the conviction that no, India does not need to broaden equal laws. With this, I rest my case here. Thank you.
Very well spoken, team R.K. Narayan. Now, the interjector from the team Kushwant Singh, are you there? Dear teams, we are displaying the sequence of the
Team Khushwant is already there, ma'am, but I don't know why they are not responding.
That's why we're displaying the sequence on the screen so that they can have a view of it.
Yes, just display it. I'll request everyone to please note it down so that there should not be any problem in this.
Dear teams, please note down your sequence and your interjectors as well. Take a screenshot of the displayed screen. Team Kushwant Singh, are you there? Kushwant Singh, it's your turn for you to pose your first question for the day. Okay, we'll move to the next team, Team Jeev Patel.
Ma'am, for their interjector, at the end, we will spin the wheel again. If the Khushwant Singh is not responding, then we will ask the question and we'll give the marks accordingly.
Okay.
Not now, please don't spin the wheel now. Now we'll start with the second team, Jeev Patel. And who is the interjector for Jeev Patel?
Ma'am, Vikram Seth.
Vikram Seth, are you there? Just show your thumbs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, team Jeev Patel, are you ready with your speaker for the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Your time starts now.
A very warm greetings to the House at large, esteemed judges, guests, principals, teachers, and my dearest friends. I'm standing here proudly defending the motion that not only females but males too need to be protected in India. Firstly, I would like you all to imagine Imagine walking home late at night, probably after midnight, constantly glancing over your shoulder, worried about being mugged, bullied, harassed, raped, or to some extent being killed. Whom did you all imagine? I know that majority of you all pictured a girl, a woman in this. On these very foundation, on these very bases, today's Indian protection system and its legal system is working on. It is said that justice is blind in our nation, but let me tell you, protection is simply wearing glasses which are tainted with gender biasness, and this can very well be proven by the case of Harish Iyer, a male rape survivor who was silenced as victim of sexual abuse simply because Section 63 of the BNS does not protect him. I now would like to define the word protection to you. Protection means the act of keeping something or someone safe so that they're not harmed or damaged. And in this context, it can be done by providing legal safeguards, mental emotional support, institutional structures, and last most important, social respect. The argument today which I'm here defending is not that protecting males will somehow diminish females' rights or image in the society, but to ensure that the essence of equality, that is no discrimination on the basis of caste, creed, race, color, or sex, should be present in the Indian protection system. I now would like to quote a number 1.01 lakh. These are the many men who have died between the years of 2003 to 2020 of suicide or gender violence cases. This is the reality which every one of us is ignoring. Cases like the honeymoon homicide of Raja Raghuvanshi in Meghalaya, the murder in Mumbai involving affairs of Ranju Chauhan, Kindila's husband, Chandrasekhar. And last, the infamous made-up drum dismemberment case where the culprit Muskan Astoni, again the wife, viciously murdered her own husband, Saurabh Rajput. I don't think I need to get details of the brutality of these cases simply because they were very much prevalent in the public view for the past few months. These heinous acts on males stand as a stain on humanity in our Indian society and put a very blot on the so-called just India where every one of us, I repeat, every one of us are equally protected by the law. I now would like to mention a section. Section 85 of the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, like many other sections and laws which are made only and exclusively for protecting females where apparently males are labeled perpetrators. And I can stand here and give you lists of men like Vishnu Tiwari, Prince Garg, Gurushara Lal Awasthi, Amit Kumar, Thanu, merely a 16-year-old boy of Farwar who were falsely accused of a heinous crime they never committed. They lost their respect and dignity in the society and most importantly were punished. Dhanu spent more than 2 decades of his life behind bars for a crime he never committed. Even the Honorable Supreme Court of India said, and I quote, that this section is a legal terrorism. A study in 2022 showed that over 271 husbands are murdered by their wives by methods including stabbing, poisoning, mutilation, state suicides, and so on. There are commissions protecting women in India, for example, the National Commission for Women. There are helpline numbers protecting women in India, for example, the number 1090 in the state of Uttar Pradesh. But when I speak for protection of men in our nation, I stand shut. There are more than 12 laws, innumerable sections made only protecting females in our nation. But when I speak for protection of men, I stand shut again. Lastly, I just want to conclude by saying, if crime is not wearing a gender tag in our nation, then why is protection? With this, I would like to rest my case, but never my stance. Thank you so much.
Very well spoken. Now I call the interjector from Team Vikram Seth. Interjector, we need a clear view of your face. We cannot see you well.
Now I'm visible.
No, not yet. There's a lot of echo as well from your side. Interjector, your view from the lateral is perfect, but not from the front side.
Vikram said, "Thoda sa piche ho jao." Perfect. Now it is perfect.
Now it's perfect. Now you can pose your first question.
A heartfelt greeting to the honorable judges, my dear speaker, and the audience, whose presence make this debate come alive. Dear speaker, your eloquence reminds me of Vikram Seth's gift of weaving words with clarity. With admiration for your perspective, I ask, in July 2024, the Bombay High Court freed a man who had spent 8 years in jail on a false rape charge. As Lord Denning said, a judge must not alter the fabric of law, but he can iron out the creases. Do you think our laws has too many creases against men? And if so, then what reforms are needed so that innocent men are not punished before being hurt?
Yes, team speaker, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your response time starts now.
Thank you for your question, Madam Interjector. I do believe our judicial system and protection system only and only protects females in our nation. The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which is the code which says that everybody of us, every single citizen of India would be protected. No discrimination on basis of any crime, on basis of any gender, sex, or any caste or color. Yet, BNS has a chapter number 5, which is titled Offences Against Women and Children. I repeat, offences against women. Here, there are more than 12 to 13 sections where crimes like rape, gang rape, assault, sexual harassment, kidnapping, abducting will only be applicable for protection if the victim is a female. I just want to ask this members of the society to, if you believe that sexual violence, crime, or any harm of any kind is wrong and the victim should be protected. I repeat, all victims should be protected. Then let me tell you all that men of our society too are facing gender crimes, too are being abducted, too are facing a sexual harassment, and they too deserve a society where they're equally protected. Because let me remind you, Article 14 is granted to every single citizen, which is a fundamental right, which says that the state shall not deny protection before the law to any citizen. I think this answers your question. Thank you.
Very well spoken. Now, interjector, you can now pose your second question.
Thank you so much for answer. Building further on your views, allow me to raise another concern. You argue that men too need protection. But if we create special laws for men, won't that dilute women's hard-fought legal safeguard? And how would you prevent this from turning into a battle of men versus women rather than a fight against injustice itself?
Thank you, interjector. Speaker, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Time starts now.
Thank you for your question, Madam Inspector, once again. We are not here saying that protecting males in our society will create some sort of war between males and females in the war against injustice. We are saying that if you give protection to males in India, this protection will also strengthen the support of females. Because let me remind you, you say we all protested very openly that there should be equal pay for equal work. If there is equal pay, equal work, then everybody will be paid equally. Then why can't a citizen who is equal in all terms deserve an equal protection in our society? Because let me remind you, they too are humans, they too are Indian citizens. They too deserve protection because they too are living a life of threat. They are at constant threat of so many different crimes which women too face. It is a very popular saying in our society that men don't cry, but let me tell you, men too are humans. They too are mentally, emotionally, physically vulnerable. And it is a fact that men in our society are vulnerable. They don't have protection in our society and they deserve this protection. Even though the cases are less, there are cases and these cases deserve protection because at the end, it is the matter of humanity, dignity, and justice. I hope this answers your question.
Thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you, interjector. Now I call upon the Speaker against the motion. Speaker, are you ready?
Am I clearly audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are clearly audible. Your time starts now.
In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, I quote, "If strength means moral power, then a woman is immeasurably superior to a man." Greetings to the repository of the sovereign will of people. My humble obeisance to the intellectual panel of jury members, and a very bright morning to the exuberant sisters and brothers of the incredible India. Today, I stand firmly against the proposition not only females, males also need to be protected in India, and this is not a matter of preference, but of necessity and socio-cultural reality. India has been a patriarchal society for centuries. Women have been subjected to domestic violence, limited access to education, and restricted mobility. This is not an abstract past. It continues even today in various forms across rural and urban India. These are not isolated incidents. they reflect a systemic pattern of gender-based discrimination and gender-based violence. And it is precisely why laws like Section 85 of BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act, and POSH, Protection of Women from Sexual Harassment at Workplaces, exist. These laws are not anti-male. They are a pro-justice in an unequal nation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you a few of the most infamous cases of India. First, the Hathras case of 2020. A 19-year-old woman belonging to Bulgari village of Hathras district in Uttar Pradesh was raped by 4 men. She succumbed to her injuries 2 weeks later in a hospital. Second, the Unnao rape case. A sitting MLA belonging to a major political party of India raped a teenage girl. She and her family were harassed and intimidated. Her father was beaten in custody and died. Kuldeep Singh remained free even after 2 years of playing all these shenanigans. The cases do not end here. There are innumerable instances of women exploitation. The Nirbhaya case, the Kathua gang rape case, the Arjikan Medical College case of Kolkata, Lakshmi Agrawal acid attack, Nikki Bhati dowry case. Do we see such widespread, heinous and brutal violence against men? Let us go a few months back when in an online show called India's Got Latent, a popular YouTuber and a podcaster who made motivational videos made an obscene remark regarding parents in the name of freedom of speech, which was unacceptable. And we talk about giving protection to such men. When crimes like defamation or murder or assault occur, the Indian law treats every gender equally under BNS, that is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. If a man is wrongfully done or is wrongfully accused, he has the full legal recourse. Women face gendered crimes like marital rape, still not illegal in India, acid attacks and dowry-related harassments, which necessitate gender-specific protection. In a society where a man can openly smoke cigarettes, a woman has to carry her sanitary napkins wrapped in black polythene. With this, I end my argument here only. Thank you.
Very well spoken, speaker. Now I call the interjector from Team Vikram Seth. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can pose your first question.
My respected speaker, your clarity of thoughts and confident delivery deserves an appreciation. But with equal sincerity, I wish to challenge you on one point. NCRB data shows that in 2021, more than 130,000 men died by suicide, almost double the number of women, mostly because of family problems. If men don't need protection, then why are so
Team
many more men
interjector,
ending their... Sorry,
your
ma'am.
voice is echoing. Will you please repeat your question?
Sure, ma'am. NCRB data shows that in 2021, more than 130,000 men died by suicide, almost double the number of women, mostly because of family problems. If men don't need protection, then why are so many more men ending their lives every year? Isn't this a clear sign that our laws are ignoring their pain? May I know your opinion on this?
Good question, interjector. Speaker, are you ready with your response?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's start. Your time.
Thank you for the question, Madam Interjector. You mentioned about the NCRB data of 2021 concerning males. Well, I present you the National Crime Records Bureau data of 2022, which clearly stated that on an average, 88 rape cases were reported per day, 94% of which were female rape cases. This broader lens reveals that women are more susceptible to profound vulnerabilities, from mental crisis to physical torture and meeting societal expectations of being a traditional woman. Moreover, these issues where men are dying can be curbed by providing medical assisted therapy, psychosocial care, counseling in cases where they really need them. Protection in any way will not help in curbing this issue. These challenges are very much under societal attention, and so are the ways to tackle them. Thank you.
Okay, interjector, are you ready with your second question? Okay, now you can pose it for second question.
So much for answer. Allow me to raise another concern. Article 21 of Indian Constitution guarantees the right to life and personal liberty to every person. But if men too have this fundamental right, why is there no specific law to protect them from harassment, false accusation, and domestic violence? Doesn't this selective protection go against the spirit of our Constitution? What is your stance on this?
Speaker, have you heard the question well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the time starts now.
Let me tell you that on one side, where Constitution focuses more on equality, it also gives priority to providing the minority, in this case, the women. India has been a patriarchal society since long centuries. Men in workplaces, in family, in society had an upper hand against women. That is why a specific protection is needed for women and not for men. Women have been subjected to systemic discrimination and oppression for long, long period. Are we not going to tackle these discriminatory problems that we really face? Even today, many women are silenced at work. Many are forced into child marriage. What are we going to do for them? That is why we have protection only to the females and not to the males, because they really don't need it as for present. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Now we'll move to the team R.K. Narayan again. R.K. Narayan, we have a projector with us.
Ila ma'am, just wait. Team Khushwant, are you there? Please unmute yourself. Team Khushwant, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we are there.
Beta, did you listen to Team R.K. Narayan?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you ready with the questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you want the Team R.K. Narayan say again? Because we want to make everyone comfortable. Are you ready with the questions? Interjector?
Yes.
Okay. Ila ma'am, let's start with the interjector. Team RK, are you there?
Team R.K. Narayan, are you ready?
Unmute yourself. Team R.K.
Yes,
Narayan.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Are you ready? Are you ready, Team R.K. Narayan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, it's audible. Ila ma'am,
Okay.
let the interjector come for the R.K. Narayan team.
Sure, ma'am. Okay, I call upon the interjector from Team Khushwant Singh. I will do the first question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the time starts now.
Respected principal, judges, and dear participants, my question for the motion is: shouldn't legal reforms focus on protecting all citizens instead of only one gender?
Team R.K. Narayan, is the question audible to you? Can you hear the question well?
Ma'am, can she repeat?
Okay. Team Khushwant Singh, interjector, please repeat your question.
Shouldn't legal reforms focus on protecting all citizens instead of only one gender?
Team R.K. Narayan, are you ready with your answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your time starts now.
Yes, thank you so much for your question, dear interjector, and your concern is absolutely valid. Yes, all genders need to be taken at equal. They have to give an equal protection, and your concern is absolutely valid. Even I agree with this, and that's what I said even in my speech, that even the man and the women, they are both human beings and they both need protection. Yes, women do suffer from acid attacks and early deaths, and these wounds can never be ignored. But protection is not a ration card to be distributed between genders. Justice is like light. The more it spreads, the brighter it gets. Expanding protection for women is not a dilution of women's rights. It is the completion of justice. And if we ignore the sufferings of men, we are only planting the seeds of tomorrow's imbalance in the society. So, yeah, yes, we must take women and men and even the children's juveniles along. And protection is a right of every citizen, and it needs to be given to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. Interjector, are you ready with the second question?
Okay, I am satisfied with your answer. Now, my question against the motion is: isn't the history of gender-based crimes in India a clear reason to prioritize women's protection over men's?
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but I guess these questions are for against the motion.
Interjector, your question is for against or for the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
It was.
Again,
It is for the motion?
Team Kushwan, you have to ask two questions, two to the for and two to the against. Are you ready with two questions or you have prepared only one question?
Only one question.
Okay, no problem. You can ask one question from the against. Team RK Narayan, please send the girl who said for against the motion.
Okay, speak. Are you ready, Team RK Narayan?
Yes, ma'am. Can their interjector
Please repeat your question. Okay, interjector, please repeat your question.
Isn't the history of gender-based crimes in India a clear reason to prioritize women's protection over men's?
Is it clear to you, RK Narayan?
Yes, ma'am. It is clear, but I fear that this question is not against the motion. I'm favoring the women in this case, and your question is actually for the men. Are you sure that this is your question?
Yes.
For the motion, RK Narayan, can you give the answer for the same? Girls, for the motion?
Ma'am, can she repeat the question?
Yeah, sure.
Team Kushwan, please repeat the question.
Isn't the history of gender-based crimes in India a clear reason to prioritize women's protection over men's?
RK Narayan, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
When we thank you so much for your question, but when we speak of suffering, we often imagine a woman's tears, which is true, which is valid. But what about the silent tears of men? When a 19-year-old boy from Bhopal ended his life last year, do you know what he wrote in his last note? Just 5 words: that no one believes a man. 5 words that reflects a life destroyed. He was falsely accused in a rape case. Overnight, his neighborhood branded him guilty. His college suspended him, and his friends abandoned him. Did anyone give him a chance to prove himself? No. Justice does not see gender or who is demanding for justice. Justice is given to those who are in need of justice. And there is a very beautiful poem, in fact, which I just read in the morning when I was preparing for the debate, that he stands like stone, yet inside he bleeds, carrying the weight of unspoken needs. So the world calls it strength, but it feels like decay, a soul that is breaking, yet forced to obey. And when the justice lady tells her scale to one side, the truth is betrayed and the fairness denied. So the motto is not to see who is asking for the justice. No, there is no women or men or juveniles in the eyes of justice or the justice lady. We need to see who is asking for justice or protection, and if he's actually right, and if he is in need of justice, then we have to provide him justice, and then no law for women protection or men protection can save the victim to get from justice or the criminal to be punished. Thank you.
Very well said, Speaker. Interjector, do you have any other question for the team?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Wait, Ela,
Answers.
as most of the principal and the vice principal are here, so we have to give the marks for the response to interjection in against the motion also. So my advice is, shall we ask any other team to ask the question? Otherwise, we'll not be able to give the marks for this. Principals and the vice principals, can you unmute yourself, please? Judges, shall we give the chance to the any team to ask the question against the motion? Otherwise, the marks will not be able to give the marks.
Can I interrupt, ma'am?
Yes, please, sir.
Ma'am, I think one question against the motion should be given to the team so that we can give the fair marks.
Sir, in interjector question,
Interjector needs to
don't
ask
have any question.
Ji,
So I'll request any team, if any team can ask the question, is it okay?
Yes, any team can ask the question. We are just going to give the marks for the response against the motion.
Perfect, sir. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yes, teams, all of you are listening to us. Any team who wants to say any question on against the motion related to RKNRI?
Excuse me, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
This is APS Dhar. I think judges should be given opportunity to ask the question. So that will be, I think, okay for everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Because
That is
children will
perfect.
get disturbed. They have prepared accordingly.
Perfect, ma'am. No problem. That's why I thought
I think everyone should agree to this if anyone has issues. So
Is
that can
everybody
be.
agree to it?
Yes, ma'am, it is absolutely
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are agree, ma'am.
Okay. So I'll request judges to ask one question against the motion from the team RK Narayan so that we can give the marks accordingly to them. We can give 2 minutes to the judges to prepare the question. Sana, are you audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Yes,
Okay, please ask the judges to ask one question against the motion.
yes ma'am, we are ready.
Are they ready with the question?
They're thinking, ma'am. This.
Okay, just take a minute and let them be ready. No problem.
Excuse me, ma'am. Are the judges going to ask 2 questions or one? Because like that's in the rules. Just one question.
It will be one, no worry. We'll give the marks accordingly. I think all the principals can give the marks by making it average or something. Don't worry for the marks.
Yes, ma'am. And also thank you to Team Vikram Seth for their questions.
Thank you.
My question to you is, what is the, like, when you are gauging the, when you give out a message that no such injustice is being done towards a particular gender in consideration today, it is the male gender that is in consideration. What should we do of the data that are coming up from news channels and the kind of discourse that is going on in the society? So should we not consider that?
Thank you for your question, sir. Can you please have the timer?
Okay, your time starts now.
Thank you for your question, sir. I would like to start off by saying the quote that justice is not done until it is seen to be done. There is a claim that men are not allowed to speak up about domestic violence or sexual assault, while women are. And this sounds something straight out of a dystopian world. The women have long gone the sufferings, but now that men are coming up and that a few cases have been sensationalized, we certainly want to change our entire legal system. Let's look at the ground reality and facts and acknowledge that this is a societal issue and not a legal one. We have to acknowledge that the society considers its own sanctity over prioritizing genders. It does discrimination against anyone. However, we must also look at the facts. Amendments to Section 498A, the suspension of automatic arrest under domestic violence laws by the Supreme Court in 2014. Sections like 377 and 328A to protect men against harassment, provisions for murder, abetting suicide, bodily harm, as well as assault exist. We also have the Guardians and Guards Act, as well as the basic fundamental rights such as Article 14, 15, 21, and 32. These laws have always existed and they're enough to provide men with the specific types of attention they're now demanding. Our legal system has long been equipped to provide men with the specific types of protections they need. Even scholars like Upendra Bakshi agree that the Constitution was made keeping men in mind. We have to remember that justice is not about comforting the comfortable. It is about protecting the vulnerable. Nobody is denying that men are facing the harassment, but we have to look at the scale of the reality. The case in 2014 clearly highlights that every time men have been wrongly accused, the courts have acted and the justice has been served. So I conclude with the conviction that we do not need to broaden equal laws because real equality does not depend on the multiplicity of statutes. Real equality is in ensuring that everyone has the access to everything that is provided to us, to the laws enshrined. Thank you.
Very well given answer. Thank you, Team Jury, for your question. Thank you, Team R.K. Narayan. Now we'll move to the next team, Team Rabindranath Tagore.
Ila, here I'll request all the principals and the vice principal, please give her mark accordingly because she has been asked only one question in place of two, so you can double the marks for the way you feel. Thank you.
Team Rabindranath Tagore, are you ready?
Yes.
You will be speaking for the motion?
Yes, ma'am. Am I clearly audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are clearly audible. Now, your time starts now.
11-year-old boy abused by his teacher. But case not registered as law doesn't recognize boys as victims. Under POCSO, a 16-year-old boy faces 10 years in prison for actions he didn't even understand at that age. So side note of a young husband, I was innocent, but the law believed her, not me. Ladies and gentlemen, these are not works of fiction. These are real stories, buried under the back pages of newspapers, rarely debated in primetime shows, and almost never discussed in drawing rooms. Why? Because the victim here were men. A very good morning to one and all present here. Today I firmly stand in favor of the motion that not only females, but males also need to be protected in India. Respected judges, this platform is not just for debate. It's for truth to find its echo, and let me tell you the truth today. That one of the most underreported crimes in India is the sexual abuse against men. NCRB data whispers. Yes, whispers because the society doesn't let it shout that a significant percentage of boys face sexual assault before they even turn 18. But when a man dares to say, I was raped, society smirks. So tell me, if this is not cruelty, what is it? Today, through this very stage, I want to give voice to those silences that society has buried. Believe all women, they say. But I ask, why not change it to believe all victims irrespective of gender? Because if a woman can be harassed, so can a man be hunted. What is the use of law that saves one gender but suffocates another? Section 498A, meant to shield women from dowry harassment, has been branded by Supreme Court itself as one of the most misused laws. Just imagine if your son or brother was jailed for a crime he never committed, would you still call it balance? And here's another uncomfortable truth. Male suicide rates in India are alarmingly high because men are told real men don't cry. Society tells them to be strong until one day they hang from a ceiling fan, leaving behind a note. That fact reads, I couldn't fight falsehood anymore. So here I ask you, that shouldn't a country that proudly says Beti Bachao also say Beta Bachao? Let us remember justice that is one-sided is injustice, and safety that excludes half the population is not safety, it's hypocrisy dressed as equality. I would conclude with a self-composed poem. He stands tall, yet no one sees his fall. He smiles bright, yet hides it all. A father who breaks his back instead. A brother who guards had fades away. And women cry, the world will hear, but a man's pain vanishes in the air. He pleads in silence, he fights alone. But even eye and heart are made of bone. So I ask you, judges, with all I can, if protection is human, why not for man? Why not for man? If even one mind here begins to think differently after my words, I think this stage has served its purpose. Thank you.
Very well defended. Now I call the interjector from team Ruskin Bond.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Your lateral view is good, but not the front view. We cannot. Now it's good. Now it's fine. You can pose your first question. Are you ready? With the first question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your time starts now.
Good morning, respected jury members, dear friends and teachers. Today I, the interjector of the team Ruskin Bond, is here to present my few of the questions for the team Rabindranath Tagore. Firstly, I appreciate the way you presented your speech, but when we look beyond the surface, some questions naturally arise, and I would like to put few of them before you. My first question to you is, that you said in your speech that boys, by the NCRB data, that states boys faces percentage of sexual harassment. But what about the data that states 90% of domestic violence victims reportedly in India are women? Are women that NCRB data that state 90% of domestic violence victims reportedly in India are women? Isn't that how can you say or how can you justify equal prioritization of man's right?
Thank you, interjector. Team Rabindranath Tagore, was the question heard for you by you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are you ready with your answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, response time starts now.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for your question, dear eloquent friend. You mean your argument is mathematical and a arithmetic problem. More crimes mean more rights. And by that logic, if one gender suffers 70% and the other 30%, should we only protect 70 and throw away 30? Imagine a doctor saying, this disease kills so fewer people, let's not cure it. How convenient. I urge my opponent to reread those crime reports carefully, because behind every statistic is also a silenced story. Men don't always report abuse, harassment, or humiliation, not because it doesn't exist, but because society ridicules them if they do. I want you to understand that absence of data doesn't mean absence of danger. And here lies the deepest wound. Countless men remain in abusive marriages, beaten, humiliated, and sometimes stripped of money and dignity. Yet they stay, not out of love, but for their children. We glorify their silence as sacrifice, but let's be honest, isn't the slavery wearing the mask of responsibility? Their opponent, a spark neglected, burns the house. And this spark of ignored male victims, of biased laws, and of mocked male victims is already smoldering. If we don't act now, soon it will become an uncontrollable fire. Thank you.
Your answer supports the argument very well. Now, interjector, are you ready with your second question?
Thank you for your thoughtful answer. Now I would like to present my second question. Are you saying that laws like POSH or Section 498A made after years of women's struggle should now be diluted just for the sake of so-called males' protection?
Was it audible?
Yes, ma'am, it was audible.
Okay, your time starts now.
First of all, let me be very clear that asking for male protection doesn't mean taking anything away from women. It simply means that recognizing the safety, justice, and dignity must be universal, not gender specific. And here my fellow speaker is saying that only women are victims. Let me share with you a recent incident. An auto driver was assaulted by a female who tried to force herself on him. His identity splashed in the media. His dignity turned into a public joke. People mocked him saying, "Bhai, lucky you." Lucky? Since when did violations become a reward? Imagine if this was a woman. Would we dare to laugh? And now let me share with you a bitter reality. In today's world, because of these bias laws, gender relations no longer thrive on trust, but on suspicion. A smile, be careful. A coffee invite, think twice. Even professional courtesy is weighed against fair, because one argument, one rejection, one breakup. And the same boy who was once a colleague is painted as rapist in the courtroom. Tell me, is this empowerment of women or entrapment of men? Dear opponent, I stand here not as a girl favoring boys, but as a human being favoring fairness. And if protection is about shielding the vulnerable, then men need it as desperately as women, because when a man is sexually abused, he deserves justice. When a man is falsely accused, he deserves protection. And when a man breaks under societal pressure, he deserves compassion. Thank you. I hope I satisfied you, dear opponent.
Very well defended. Team now I call the speaker against the motion from Team Rabindranath Tagore.
Am I audible, ma'am?
Yes, you are audible. Interjector, you may be next. Thank you. Your time starts now.
Oh God, I'm getting late. Should I take the shortcut? Yes, I think I should take the shortcut. But why is that man following me? Is he going my way? Or should I run? No, don't panic. Don't panic. Don't panic. Clutch your bag. Act like you're on the phone. Don't look back. Reach home. Reach home. Just reach home. Did that sound like it came from a movie, a drama, or a monologue? No, it was my walk home last night. Respected jury members and my dear opponents, let me ask you, not just as a debater, but as parents, brothers, sisters, and citizens, whom are you more worried about when your children step out of the house after sunset? Your daughter or your son? Why does your heart skip a beat when your daughter is late? Why do you call her again and again, but rarely worry the same way for your boy? Isn't that answer enough proof of where the danger really lies? Another striking act of reality. Men go to offices and battlefields, but when they come back home, they put their boots aside. Women, they straight away enter into another battlefield. The kitchen, the family, the children. Double duty and double pressure. Still, they stand tall. And now, my worthy opponents, tell me, women don't need more protection? Really? Tell me, if a soldier fights on two fronts, does he not deserve a stronger cover fire? Or if women fights with both the world outside and inside, does she not deserve to be protected with more laws, more empathy, and more respect? And let us not forget, there are many natural reasons why women are more vulnerable. Because their body bleeds every month. It tears open in childbirth. It endures pain which men can hardly imagine. But instead of protection, what women have received from centuries? Silence, shackles, and shame? From Devadasi system to sati, from child marriages to dowry death, history screams one truth, that women were never protected. They were imprisoned. Even mythology reminds us Draupadi was stripped in a court full of men. And even centuries later, the silence of the Sabha echoes in our courtrooms. And now, when women finally ask for safety, suddenly the world says, "Oh, but don't forget the men." What a hypocrisy. The Nirbhaya case, a girl tortured on a bus. The Kathua case, a girl child brutalized in a temple. Accident attack survivor walking with a melted face because they said, no. Tell me, where are the male equivalents of these horrors? I ask you again, are the male equivalents of these horrors in our society? By the time I finish the speech in 3 minutes, several women will already be harassed, raped, and molested. So, I would like to conclude by saying that the day when a woman can walk freely at midnight on the roads, that day we can say that India has achieved independence in its truest sense. Until that day comes, protection of women is not a favor, it is a necessity. Thank you.
The necessity brought very well. Now, the interjector from Team Ruskin-Bond, are you ready with your first question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The time starts now.
Thank you for your thoughtful speech. But my first question to you would be that why do you ignore NCRT data that states man constitutes over 70% of suicide victims in India? Isn't that the case of their vulnerability?
Thank you, interjector. Was the question audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, time starts now.
Thank you for your question, dear opponent. But I answer not to you. I answer to justice. And justice, unlike your argument, does not wear blinkers. And how generous of the society. It seems like they're painting such a rosy picture of a woman's life. Almost sounds like a fairy tale. The princess carries her pepper spray, avoids lonely streets, and carries 10 missed calls of her parents. And still prays she does not become tomorrow's headline. If this is what they call privilege, then I beg them, keep your privilege. Women don't need fairy tales, they need freedom. They don't need curfews, they need courage from society. And how can we forget Robert Frost, who spoke of 2 roads diverging in the Yellow Wood? But the irony is that the 2 roads for women in India are not about choices. They are about danger. One road says unsafe, and the other says more unsafe. And still my opponents ask, why? Perhaps they had liked women to wait for the 3rd road to magically appear. Thank you.
Good response. Now, interjector, are you ready with your second question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You can pause the second question.
Thank you for your answer. My second question to you is, when even child custody laws are largely one-sided, always considering mothers, how can you say that in Indian society we do not need laws to protect man's rights?
Team Rabindranath, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, your time starts now.
Dear opponent, suffering is real on both sides, but urgency is not the same. Everyone deserves safety, but this debate is about who faces gender bias. And in India, that's overwhelmingly women. Oh yes, when we start talking about women's protection, someone jumps up with, but men too. It's like interrupting a fire alarm to say, what about the noise pollution? Just a few days ago, we danced through 9 nights of Navratri, worshipping Durga in her forms. We burnt Ravana on Dashera just yesterday to declare the victory of good over evil. Beautiful, isn't it? But what a grand illusion! Because the very next morning, the same society that bows before the goddess refuses to bow before the dignity of its women. We fold our hands to Lakshmi for wealth, but deny the wealth of safety to its women. We sing to Saraswati for wisdom, but forget about the wisdom to teach our sons respect. We cheer when Ravana's effigy burns, but allow thousands of Ravanas to freely roam on our streets. So I ask everyone, what kind of devotion is this? Are we truly protecting the goddess or killing her spirit in every woman we fail to protect? And maybe next year, when we burn Ravana, we shouldn't clap our hands. Because the truth is that Ravana never died. He just changed his address and moved into our society. Thank you. I hope I've satisfied you with my answer.
Very well defended. Thank you, Team Rabindranath Tagore and Team Ruskin Bond. Now we'll move to the next team, Team A.K. Ramanujan.
1 minute, Ila ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll request the principals and the vice principals, whenever you are coming in between for any doubt or any query, please do not introduce yourself with the name of your school. Thank you. You can start, Ila ma'am.
Now I call Team A.K. Ramanujan.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Now the speaker for the motion. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Your time starts now.
A respectful greeting to everyone. As the voice of 70 crore men of India, I stand here proudly and I say it loud that I am a feminist. But if being a feminist means ignoring half of the humanity, then I simply refuse to stay silent. Protection is for all, and today I firmly stand for the motion that not only females, males too need to be protected in India. Imagine a young man facing abuse at home, terrified and begging for help. He walks to the police, where the door slammed shut on him, where he's told to man up and handle it by himself. No one sees him, no one hears him, and no one believes him. This, my dear friend, is the mere reality that boys and men face across India. Feminism was brought to fight inequality. Although in some privileged areas, that noble idea has turned and twisted its meaning and is now used as the biggest tool to exploit men in today's time. We talk about justice, we talk about rights, but we miss the bigger picture. This is not just about treating the symptoms, but rather treating a deeper rooted cause. Think about it. By focusing primarily on protecting women, we are just curing the symptoms. Boys who grow up without protection, without guidance, without support, are often abused, dismissed, or mocked in their young stage. What happens to them? Some of them turn into the very monsters that our society fears today. The oppressors, the harassers, and the abusers. By protecting men early, we teach them that their suffering is real and that their cries, they do matter. Delhi alone in 2022 saw 3,367 suicides, out of which, my dear friends, 2,525 were men. I ask you that what drives these men to such an extent where they believe there's no point of return and the society hardly even notices. Let me ground this case with a real-life example of Atul Subhash, a young man who left behind a 90-minute-long video, a 24-page long letter, describing the harassment, the abuse, and the unbearable pressure that he had to go through. Did the society listen? Absolutely not. His statements were mocked, his voice was questioned, and his video was simply termed as too exaggerating. And as a result, he is no longer here with us today to defend himself anymore, simply because we did not listen when he most needed us here. Ladies and gentlemen, justice delayed is indeed justice denied, but for men, it's simply invisible. We cannot face the problem by treating only one side of the humanity. Protection must be for all, or it is not protection at all. And finally, think about this. The mere fact that a basic human right is even up for discussion just shows how blind we have become, how entrenched our rights are, and just how easily we ignore half of the humanity. So today I ask you that the next time someone cries for help, do not weigh it by gender, weigh it by humanity. Because if pain has no gender, protection should not either. This heinous injustice that has been continuing must come to an end, as it is the biggest challenge of our time today, and we, the next generation, is listening and responding to it. Thank you.
Justice delayed. Okay. Team Ruskin Bond, Team Jhumpa Lahiri. Are you ready with your first question?
Ma'am.
Yes, you can now post your first question. Your time starts now.
Mind-blowing speech. You say males need protection. Everyone does, obviously. But if we look at the grim reality, and as said by Ratan Tata, none can destroy iron, but its own rust can. Similarly, none can destroy a soul, but the wrong mindset can. And if we take the case of the minor male who was raped by a 30-year-old female in Bundi, Rajasthan, and when he opened up about it on social media, members of the same gender called him gay, while women supported him, understood him. Taking this in light, do they not need education rather than protection? Because it is not the mothers who tell their sons not to cry. It is the fathers who tell them to be a man and that nothing can hurt you. It is the fathers who teach toxic masculinity, keeping in mind that it is their own community pulling them down. I ask you again, is it not education that they need rather than protection?
Okay. Ila ma'am, please interrupt.
Okay, team AK Ramanujan, have you
Yes.
had the question?
Yes.
You can now, your time starts now.
So, thank you so much for your question, dear delegate. And your question just is an open testimony of my stance in its own. We cannot blame only one person for the societal expectation of men. This is a reality that we have all created as a society and which we need to ensure does not happen anymore. You cannot only blame the fathers, it's us as a society that we need to change. And I ask you that if anyone commits a crime, it is not because they were born monsters, it's because they were created and raised in a society of abuse, poverty, and toxic masculinity. It is not one person to blame, but rather the entire society that we need to change and need to make sure that it does not happen in future. To elaborate in this, I would like to take the case of Mukesh Singh, a convict of Nirbhaya case. He wasn't a monster. He was raised in a society of its own where he still believes that whatever he did was right. He was brought up in such a way that he believes he is still right. And to change that mindset, we need to ensure that every single person, when he is going through the childhood, is ensured protection. And as you said, education, my dear delegate, education is not the same as protection. Education is a privilege that may or may not be provided to a man, but protection is internal. It's the right that a person is heard and is made sure to be listened and to be respected in the society, which simply does not exist to men. We need to make sure that that mindset changes today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Speaker. Interjector, are you ready to pose your second question?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for your answer. Although that was not what I expected. But my second question to you is...
Dear, you cannot see and read the question. You are reading the question from the paper?
Yes, ma'am.
This is not allowed, dear.
Ma'am, there are points that I've noted down from their speech.
You must remember the points. Now you cannot read the question from the paper.
And everyone will do the same thing with.
Instructions were very much clear. You cannot read from the paper. Yes, please ask the question. You want to use the points now, can't say anything, but the points will be given accordingly.
Yes, ma'am. Let's remember, we're monsters disguised in branded clothing and fake smiles. We scream and scream, yet no one comes to help. Mahatma Gandhi has faced countless allegations of sexual misconduct and has conducted highly shocking experimental celibacy practices, yet he is called the father of the nation. While on the other corner, we had Sita, who had to return back to Mother Earth to prove her chastity. And so I'm compelled to say, wow, what a wonderful thought. Someone's life is not even as important as someone's fake reputation in an even faker society.
Thank you, Interjector. Is the question audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, your time starts now.
Thank you so much for your question, dear delegate. And this proves my point that this mindset is exactly what we need to change today. The fact that Mahatma Gandhi did not receive any allegations, any justice to the people who he performed the experiments with is the national in itself. That proves that boys are supposed to go through with whatever they're dealing. The same mindset I am advocating for and making sure that it does not persist anymore. The same mindset that cost Sushant Singh Rajput his life. The same mindset that apart from the privileges in the entire world, the man still not had the protection, the internal protection that was provided by him. And as perfectly represented by you, this is exactly what we need to change, and we need to make sure that every other perpetrator is destroyed before it is even born. And that can only happen, my dear friend, if we protect men at their early stage and ensure that any violence faced by them receives justice in its own before that violence creates into anger, and that same anger turns into the violence to the next victim. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Team Ike Ramanujan. A humble request to all, please be attentive while hearing the speech, then you don't need to write the points anywhere. Thank you. Now I call upon the speaker against the motion from Team AK Ramanujan.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Your time starts now.
Yatra naryastu pujayante ramante tatra devataha. Yatra itaha na pujayante sarvastra afalaha kriya. Which means that divine blessings prevail over those places where women are respected. But their neglection leads to all actions becoming futile. Good morning, everyone. Today, I present my views against the motion of the topic. Not only females, but males also need to be protected in India. We live in a nation where girls are considered to be a symbol of prosperity. However, such is the tragic irony of fate that a father kills his own daughter because he couldn't start living on his daughter's income. There is a clear imbalance in the social stature of women in our country, as on one hand, our country has women like Wing Commander Vyomika Singh and Colonel Sophia Qureshi, while on the other hand, neither a 6-month-old nor a 60-year-old female is safe in our country. Protecting women is a necessity because history has been an open testimony that they have been oppressed since time immemorial. Hence the reasons to reinforce my stance are as, first, women face relentless violence, be it the previous year's Kolkata doctor's rape murder or the 2012 Nirbhaya rape case. According to the National Family Health Survey, 500 million women face harassment, while dowry and honor killings still persist. Despite widespread protest, delayed justice showcases administrative apathy and the stigma never leaves the woman. Second, societal mindset. From childhood, patriarchy is ingrained. Girls are handed kitchens, while boys are handed breadwinning responsibilities. Household work, which is usually done by women, is not valued. However, when the same work is done outside the house, it is mostly taken up by men. Third, female infanticide. A woman who is considered as the nurturer of a civilization is denied the right to live in the womb by her own parents. And FHS5 reveals the current sex ratio as 933 females per 1,000 males. If a girl is silenced in the womb, then equality is a cruel illusion. Third, educational protection. India ranks 110 in educational parity, which is a national disgrace. Female literacy lags at 65% as compared to 82% for men. 40% of girls drop out of educational institutions because they have committed the crime of menstruation. A nation that denies its daughters education digs the grave of its own development. Fifth, economical protection. Women only earn 76% of the men's wages and only contribute to 24% of the economy. And this inequality bleeds $770 billion from our GDP. Economic protection about women is not charity. It is a way towards national progress. Fifth is political protection. In India, women only hold 13.8% seats in the parliament, which is the proof of a moral collapse. Jayalalitha's humiliation in 1989 reminds us that true political protection is not only about laws, it is about the dignity of women in democracy.
It is a national disgrace that even after being the world's largest economy, our country doesn't provide equal rights to its women. Mere discourse on the plight of women creates conformity, not solution. Thus, it is my ardent plea to the government and to women themselves to convert written rights into lived power. I would like to end my speech with the shlok, Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu, Shakti Rupena Samsthita, Namastasyai Namastasyai, Namastasyai Namo Namo. It means that I bow down to the eternal feminine energy present in life, in earth, and in the universe. Because protecting women is not merely protecting individuals, it is protecting the force that sustains creation itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Timika.
Excuse me, ma'am.